This is a video on Southeast Asian music, dance, and culture. Here you see a map of Southeast Asia, and in this video we are going to be focusing solely on Indonesia, and particularly on the two islands at the bottom of this map, Java and Bali. Southeast Asia has mainland and island countries. Two of the main religions are Buddhism and Islam. It has a tropical climate. Rice is one of the main staple foods. And as far as music, the two most important materials for making instruments are bamboo and bronze. Today we're going to be focusing on Indonesia, particularly Javanese Court Gamelan and Balinese Gamelan. Indonesia is a country that's composed of more than 13,000 islands. It is the fourth most populous nation on the planet and the most populous Muslim or Islamic nation. Islam started in the Middle East and spread eastward, and it had a very interesting effect on Indonesia because the island of Java, which is one of the islands we're going to focus on, was conquered by Muslims, but they never made it to Bali, the other island we're going to be talking about. So it gives us a really great opportunity to see the effect that Islam has on music. More than 300 languages are spoken in Indonesia, and it has been a focus for many ethnomusicologists and composers. I'd like you to stop the video right now and go to the end of this video and click on the link, or in the description of this video, click on the link for Baraka, Kecak on YouTube, or just do a search for Baraka, Kecak on YouTube. It'll give you a great view of one of the most famous pieces of world music. It's a depiction of a battle between evil forces and an army of monkeys. It's called the Ramayana Monkey Chant, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. Our first impression of Javanese Court Gamelan is a metallic, misty kind of quality. The instruments are mostly made out of bronze. There's one wood instrument. Occasionally you'll hear flutes and violin and some drums. But most of the instruments in this orchestra of bronze instruments called a gamelan are made out of bronze. There's a soft and strong style to the music. The soft music is slow and the strong style is fast. We'll talk about the colotomic structure in a little while. That's a skeleton melody that acts as a basis for performance and improvisation. On the photo on the left, you'll see a full Javanese gamelan with hanging gongs in the back, rack gongs or pots on the far right, and most of the rest of the instruments are bronze marimbas or xylophones. You'll see one such bronze xylophone to the right called a gendare. So we are going to listen to a piece of gamelan so that we can hear this cyclic structure. The principal melody is played by the small xylophones, and in this piece, Udan Mas, which you see the notation for at the top right, the principal melody of the A section is 6, 5, 3, 2, 6, 5, 3, 2, 2, 3, 5, 3, 6, 5, 3, 2. Now you see asterisk below that. You also see a plus sign. The asterisk is for the left gong, and the plus sign is for the large gong a gang, which is the largest gong in the ensemble, and it marks the end of the cycle. In this piece, the cycle is 16 beats, but some gamelan pieces can have cycles of 32 or 64 or 128 beats. So if you're that large gong player, you're sitting there and counting 125, 126, 127, boom, and you have to hit that gong and come in right at 128, or else you mess everyone up. So The cycles can be quite long. This is a really simple piece, Udan Mas, that's usually designed for as exit music as people are leaving a performance. And the overall texture is heterophonic because everybody is playing some kind of version of those main melodies, the 6532 and the 1561 melodies, but each person is playing it with slightly different ornamentation and in a different rhythm. This creates a heterophonic texture. So the two different main tunings you find in Indonesian gamelan music are slendro, which is a 5 equal distant scale, 5 equal tones per octave, which is what this piece is in, and it creates sort of a dreamy effect, versus the pelog scale, which is a 7-note scale, and that one is not equidistant. So there are whole tones and half steps, and there's this little bit greater sense of tension in that scale. This one, the slendro, is very dreamy. So listen to this piece, Udan Mas. After a short introduction, listen to the A section. You're going to hear that repeated. Then the B section, you're going to hear that repeated. Listen for the small gongs and the large gong at the end of each phrase. The A section will repeat, and on the second repeat, you'll hear the piece slow down. So it starts off in a strong, fast kind of style, and then it slows down in the middle of the second repetition of the entire form to more the soft, slow kind of style. Enjoy. As I said before, Javanese music is heavily influenced by Islam, so the music is more muted, even the dance is more flowy, as you will see in this example we'll show you in a little while. This is court music. This is classical music that goes back 3,000 years or so that was developed in royalty, and this is where in urban areas, the kings or sultans wanted to have a court orchestra, And in Indonesia, this was the orchestra they created out of bronze. And as I said before, there's a tranquil kind of mood to both the music and the dance. So in this excerpt of Javanese dance, note how flowing the movement and how beautifully flowing the costumes are as well. Now let's move over to Balinese Gamelan. In this example, you'll hear very, very different kind of mood. A lot of shifts of tempo and dynamics, starts and stops, long pauses where you can hear the instruments shimmering and vibrating, and it's much, much, much faster than Javanese music. All this is really the result of less influence from Islam and more of the older Hindu religion. So listen to this piece and then we will talk a little bit more about it. Cultural considerations for Balinese music. We spoke about how Javanese was conquered by Islam. Islam never made it to Bali, even though it's right next to Java. So the religion is the older Hindu religion, which doesn't have the same prescriptions against the power of music. As a result, the music is much more dynamic, much more ecstatic and exciting, and music is considered to be an offering to the deities. In addition to the music being highly dynamic and energetic, the dance is as well. And one of the most famous roles of the music is in the shadow puppet shows. You find shadow puppetry in both Java and Bali and throughout Indonesia. It's an old tradition that goes back to South Asia and probably started in India. And shadow puppet and these kinds of shows influenced European shadow puppets and European puppets like Punch and Judy, and really are the basis for many of our cartoons that you see on Sunday morning or Saturday morning. As I said before, Balinese dance is also more angular, more energetic, and has a lot more starts and stops. You'll see that demonstrated in this video by my favorite group in the whole world. It's Balinese group Gamelan Churamani, and they performed in the US several times. One very memorable time that I saw them over at the Hindu temple in Calabasas, and it was one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen by any group of musicians. So note not only the superhuman speed at which they play and the very incredible precision with which they play, but also the movement of the dancer and how jerky and angular it is compared to what we saw in the Javanese examples. Cultural considerations. We're going to move now to the Wayang Kulit, which is an all-night puppet show. Most stories in these shows are based on South Asian epics, such as the Ramayana and Mahabharata. And these shows begin at sundown, end at sunrise. The kids normally fall asleep, waking up only for the interesting parts where there's battles and lots of action. Otherwise, there's lots of dialogue and complex stories that are based on old epics, similar to what in the West we have, for instance, the Iliad and the Odyssey from Greece. Near the end of the show, at daybreak, the only characters left are the heroes, and they gather on stage, and people go home happy because the universe is safe again. The dalang, or puppeteer, is quite a figure. The dalang not only controls all puppets, one person, normally a male, but he also does all the singing for the characters and all the different voices, and all this while simultaneously conducting the gamelan with his or her foot, to which there's a metal plate attached, and he or she taps it against another metal plate to tap out the tempos of the various pieces. Quite phenomenal. So here is a Wayang Kulit puppet show, and I'll show you part of the beginning of it as well as a little bit at the end where the battle scene comes to a head and to a climax. So many scenes happen throughout the evening of a Wayang Kulit puppet show. Dialogue, conflict, and that conflict is usually borne out by some kind of battle scene at which hopefully the hero succeeds and is the victor.
Pada masa perempuan dua beradik duduk berlaku di luar balak istana. Siapa yang mengelih tak lain tak bukan Raden Mas Bayu Andra lari dia keluar dari sini pula. Kalau begitu ini pekerjaan apa pula diri tuan hamba? Duduk kerja berapa di sini nampak bertupuh lumu. Hari ni bertemulah kita dua. Aku nak kaku, mu nak kamu, hari ni tak kena adik-beradik apa punya. Sabar dulu Tuan Tri, sabar dulu. Tikai lambungan kiri tembus ke lambungan kanan basau. Dago sapalah berita kawan pada raja. Boleh jadi kawan tak hidup dah hari ni basau dago. Royaklah kepada raja. Gaji kawan hak bulan ni biar dia bayar ke bini kawan basau dago. Hak kawan makan biar dia halal. Hak kawan kerja kawan halal lah dia basau dago. Aduh. Aduh, celaka sungguh Raden Mas Bayu Andra. Darah menyemu-nyemu di badan saudara aku. Aku bersumpah dengan nama Dewa Sana Agung Campedok Anak Bidadari Sokmo Bandaya. Saya ku mati pagi petang, aku rela juga berkorban jiwakan diri aku. Antara digelakan patih yang kedua. Tegak pula daripada perjuangan pada alung kenalung lah.
So, a comparison between the two traditions of gamelan that we've seen here. These are both classical gamelan traditions that go back 2 to 3,000 years that developed among kings, royalty, sultans. And so they're a classical tradition with formal training. These are professional musicians and they perform in formal settings. And the training is done formally and there's lots of theory behind this music. Um, they use pretty much the same instruments, and that's about where the similarity ends. Again, Javanese Gamelan is influenced by Islam, so the dance is slower. The tempo and dynamics are more constant. They use softer mallets, and one drummer cues the changes, but otherwise that drummer doesn't have much of a say and much of a role. Versus Balinese Gamelan, which is the older Hindu religion, which doesn't have quite so many prescriptions against the power of music. The dance tends to be angular and energetic. There's abrupt tempo and dynamic changes with long pauses. The mallets are harder, and instruments are detuned slightly from one another to create a shimmery quality. And there are two drummers who play a much greater role and interact with some of the dancers. Connections to the West. Hopefully you saw the performance of Kecak from the film Baraka. That piece is actually a collaboration between a Balinese dancer and a German musician in the 1930s. So it is a modern piece, so to speak. And Western composers have been fascinated by Indonesian music ever since a group came to the World's Fair in Paris around the turn of the last century, somewhere around 1900. That's where Claude Debussy saw gamelan music for the first time and was quite fascinated and wrote several pieces which utilize some of the timbres or mimic some of the timbres in gamelan music. Also Benjamin Britten, Francis Poulenc, Philip Glass, Steve Reich are some of the other composers who have been highly influenced by gamelan music. As I said before, puppetry traces back to India, and you find it in Indonesian puppet shows, and it's influenced a lot of our depictions of good and evil in action movies and in cartoons. And Indonesian pop music is heavily influenced by American and British pop, as well as J-pop and K-pop. I provided you with 3 links to YouTube videos for further listening and watching. Again, if you haven't seen it already, please check out the film Baraka and a scene from a Ramayana monkey chant, the Balinese monkey chant, Kecak. Also, just for fun, the CSUN Gamelan from November 2018. Yes, we have a gamelan at CSUN, and we run the ensemble every 3 semesters or so. And this is one of the performances that we did a few years ago, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Also, I found a great Wayang Kulit scene with English subtitles that was done at UC Santa Barbara a few years ago, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's quite humorous. Thank you very much for watching.
rather go to the forest. Who are you, man? What is your name? What's your name? And where do you come from? Speak English. What's up? Oh, my friend. How are you? How are you? My name is... You know my name? No. My name is John McLean. John McLean! I have a friend in Chant like you. What's his name? Dan. Oh, yeah, I know him. I know him. Dan, yes, like me. Yeah. Is your boss? Yes, it's my boss. He cannot speak English, only Japanese. That's why he came here. Oh, yeah? So why here? Because my boss would like to go to the mountain to go past this forest. You are in the forest? Yes, I'm in the forest. I'm a guardian of this forest. So you just go away. Go away, what's mean go away? Go away, I know I'm from the song. Go away, please go. No, I don't want to go because here is my area. You should looking for another road. Oh yeah? I talked to my boss. Terus, apa? Ini bukan film lunga. Kayak ono duit. You here? No, I don't know. He give you some bucks. How much? $100. No. $200. No. How much is it, please? No. 400. No. You don't want to go? No, I don't want. I will die, and I go from this forest. Okay. Terus, aku belum mau.